good question. Is anyone ever really alone in your dream work? Kind of. um, if you look at it just from the standpoint of personages, yes. But if you look at it from the standpoint of living things, no. Because the medium through which you dream and the medium through which you live is alive. So, are you ever alone? Not really. Okay.
Okay, also, sexual energy, how is it quantified as far as the amount of energy?
I don't think you can quantify it. I think, well, the entire explanation is that the energy, your base energy, the basic energy of life, first enters, or you first become aware of it in the sexual centers, and therefore call it sexual energy. But it is sexual energy only as it is filtered through that transformation center in your body. The flow is infinite of this life's energy or life's force. It becomes other than sexual energy at other points in your body. For instance, here, 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 here. But it is the same energy. So when you say sexual energy, you're just talking about one of the colors of energy. So the amount of energy there is infinite. Energy is stimulated in so many ways. It's stimulated by your thoughts. It's stimulated by the things around you. It's stimulated, when I say the things around you, things and people around you. Being startled creates it. Being angry creates it. Being amorous, of course, creates it. Just all kinds of things.
I get confused because you speak in accumulation of energy, and energy being the thing, and we also speak in recognizing of it.
Energy is a thing. When I speak of accumulation of energy, what I'm saying is that because of stresses and this kind of thing that we put upon our bodies, we create blocks. Okay. And when I talk about creating or accumulating, I mean simply accumulating behind the block to obtain enough pressure to explode the blockage. When we talk about it, allowing it to flow, that's one of the things you want to do. And you want to allow it to flow by not putting labels on it. That's why the stop technique is important, because we learn not to put labels on the energy, but just let it move. And when you do that, you also learn to relax, and so you start working at the blockage in a different way. So you don't really accumulate it. It just kind of accumulates behind this block. Some of it seeps through, because that's what you need to stay alive anyway. So you're never completely blocked. Some seeps through. It's just the amount of it that seeps through is very small and doesn't deliver on its full potential. So when you relax, it flows. When you relax and don't respond to it in old ways, in traditional ways that you have. Does that answer you? Okay.
Also, with the stop technique, you mentioned riding energy, you mentioned recognizing energy.
Mm-hmm.
When certain things happen, I've noticed that a lot of the stuff moves around us. And this,
Mm-hmm.
I've noticed that, I don't want to say life-threatening, but I want to say real, matter-of-fact things that can only be interpreted in that way seem to happen around in this area.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that is the experience of it. Now, you're finding how you have either consciously or unconsciously classified them according to points in your body. Okay. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a conscious classification. It's just where you sense it and you hold it there. So the deeper observation would be when that happens, immediately relax and just let it do what it does. And that will give you another perspective on that same energy. It will do something else. Actually, it will come all the way up and just throw you out in that sense. So there's another depth to which you can go with that. Yeah, when you feel it and you do the stop technique, one of the things is just relax. You don't want to move, you just want to relax and let the energy do what it does. The problem is we were once open, we once had the energy flow when we were children, before we formulated all these assumptions, and we are full of assumptions, even though we don't know that we are. You can have a conversation with a person, and if you are absolutely aware of what you're saying, you can hardly get through the conversation with that person because of all the assumptions that they have about what you're saying and what you mean and what you didn't say and what you didn't mean and all these things. And it's like, wow. So we have them. They are there, and you, in some way, you want to relax them all and just be. Just let the energy be itself and go where it naturally goes. That makes sense? Okay. More questions? David?
Going into sleep with the feeling of knowing, the dream changes it. It becomes so very bizarre.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say is that
Yeah.
it's working on the mind, and the mind is freaking out because there's just no way to deal with what's going on.
That's true.
Going into sleep, going into whatever that is, with the feeling that I know.
Yeah.
And just hold that feeling as much as I can into
It's difficult because you are going to sleep.
right.
Yeah.
The habit of falling to sleep, coming to a point where that's broken down, that view is coming apart because I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm there. Some of it is the old not wanting to accept what's going on,
Mm-hmm.
the recognition that it's interpretation of energy flow. It's all happening at that moment. It is a kind of
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah. That's the thing ultimately you want to bring together.
Yeah.
And what you're finding is that as you break it down, you're finding parts of it are very strong and want to hold on and distorts things to get you trapped into watching the distortion again. Once you begin to watch the distortion again, it'll calm down and go back to doing what it's always been done. Everything that appears to exist is alive and separate. Even though it may be a part of you, it has its own mind, so to speak. Not really, but so to speak. So over the years, your mind has developed a mind of its own, and it wants to defend its existence. So when it's threatened, you go into a panic. If that doesn't work, you'll go into distortion. If that doesn't work, it will give you some token of magic, reading thoughts, seeing the future, seeing the past, remembering a lifetime, coming out of the body, whatever it can give you to appease you so that you don't destroy it. It has its own life force in a way. Even though, well, let's say an example of what I'm trying to say is you are the planet and it is a river. The river flows on the planet and has its own direction, but yet is a part of the planet itself. Does that make sense? Okay. And this is just a part of what you're going through. You have to stay the course. And you stay the course by accepting its antics and its behavior. Because the whole idea is to everything flow in the same direction. Okay, for it to stop behaving like this mindless little child, this little brat, that it really is, because that's what it is. Okay, and it will ultimately it will stop being threatened, and just allow the other stuff to happen. And you just kind of reassure yourself that it will all live together peacefully. And somehow or another that gets through. But that's the experience that you're having.
I'm finding that when I come to a point, and I'm working on all points, and I'm sitting right on center, it's like I'm sitting in a mind, or a point in mind. And it's just a thought. I mean, a thought is alive.
Yes.
And it's like the thought happens in the whole universe.
It does.
One thought goes through the whole universe.
That's exactly so.
Okay.
That's true. I might make a comment about sitting at a point in mind. Ultimately, that point in mind will be recognized that situation will be recognized to be mind and that point in mind within you. So all of that will be a point that's within what you are. Right now you're sitting in the center of mind and looking this way. Well, that's fine. But you will also find yourself sitting out here looking back on mind. So the energy like moves both ways. That will happen in time. That will happen as you let go of certain basic assumptions about reality or certain basic laws of the first distortion. That we have an assumption that laws only work a certain way. Right or left or whatever that is, or that water does not flow straight up. That's really not true. Okay.
See, the question is not even a question, it's a recognition that it's space that is up or down.
Right.
Or right or left.
Right.
It's just, it's,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Whatever that is. If you look at, I think we have to, a part of what we're saying is that we have to untangle some of these beliefs. I said water does not flow straight up. That is the assumption. But it does. How does it get to the clouds? You just have to change your concept of what water is and what movement is. The water vapor flows straight up. That's how it gets up there. It doesn't go around in the ground, take an elevator, and go up and right down. And there's not a continuous, unending supply of this stuff. It's the same stuff. So we have to change how we view laws, or we must change how we question laws. And this is an important part of what we've been talking about all along, about being able to rearrange your picture of the universe so that you can ask the proper question at the proper time to have the experience of what you're seeking. That is wholeness with everything, a oneness. Have the experience of that which is already happening, the oneness. So all these things have to change. Remember the movie, not When Horses Fly, David, Circle of Iron. When horses have udders and cows whinny, and what they're saying is you have to change that distortion or that assumption to ask a question in a different way. We are quite accustomed to asking questions from one of 2 points. And I say one of 2 points, that is not to say that those 2 points don't have many divisions. But either right or left, we ask questions from those perspectives. Well, now we've got to begin to ask questions from the point of absolute value, which is neither right nor left, but both and neither. The point where they come together. And the point where they come together will destroy all the illusions of the laws of the first distortion, if that makes any sense.
Agree. I noticed here, chattiness is louder and louder and louder and louder and louder. So boom, that's pretty much all I hear. But the problem with that is it's so shocking that I sometimes forget it's breathing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how, is there a way to get past that, or do you have to do something at another time of the day?
You can change the position in your bed. There are biomechanical factors at work. When you had a dream, you were probably lying in a certain position. And once you lose that, you can go back to that position, and that will trigger the dream. That's one way. The other way is don't get involved in the chatter. Let it chatter. There's room enough in there for both you and the chatter. The point is about the chatter, and a great problem with us is we move very close to the chatter so that the chatter is all there is. And we do that by our attention. Well, you want to stay back. Just let it chatter. Just don't get involved. Don't think of anything that it is saying as having any value whatsoever. Because right now you have a task, and that task is not to become really involved with the mind, but to understand the mind. So you must begin to practice different things. You want to set up different neurological pathways. And the one that you want to set up now is standing back without involvement. As long as you can keep distance between you and it, and remember, it doesn't move any closer to you, you move closer to it. But it's almost like a reverse thing. It's like if you're sitting in a car that's still, and the car next to you starts slowly moving, what do? You react because you think it's you moving when actually it's it moving. Well, it's just the reverse. It doesn't move to you, you move to it. And what you want to do is learn to relax and just let it chatter. You begin disentangling the connection between you and the thought, and then put it in proper perspective. There's so many things going on. There are things happening between us. There are things happening between you and I all the time. But we get so caught up in the chattiness or our assumptions, we become really numb. And we don't get it. We don't feel it. There's just all this energy going on between us. There's all this stuff happening. It's amazing the amount of stuff that's just happening. And because we are involved with whatever chatter, we move close to that chatter. Whatever it is we're talking about, whatever it is that we're holding as very important, whatever our habits are whatever our habits are that we give value to, for whatever reason, whether that's habitual or whether that's a choice in the moment or whatever, it numbs you out. So in practicing moving back, you will become sensitized again. And that's in everyday relationships. See, there are things, there's just all this stuff going on. There's all this really miraculous stuff going on. That's not really miraculous because it's the order of the day forever, but it's going on. And I say miraculous because for all general purposes, it's beyond the concept of mind. So as you move away, you start to notice things. It doesn't, and if the next question is what kind of things, it doesn't do any good to tell you. It doesn't make any sense. It won't make any sense because the deal is not that you are told what's happening, but the deal is your recognition. That's what makes the change. So if the question is, well, what kind of things? Doesn't matter. It's doing the work. I think that one habitual process that humanity has is it places all the value in life on things that are one step or at least one step removed from the truth. We place it on job, family, whatever. Well, those things are important. yes. But they are reflections of this other thing. So they are one step removed from the source of their creation, from the root, from the thing that gives them life, the things that makes them happen. And our objective here is to aid you in your journey or your quest to understand and to make things better. See what I'm saying? So, as long as we put value there and not here, we are back to that old statement about the question between God and Satan. Satan being form, we are still more involved in form than we are in that which is formless, which is the source of all things. You follow me here? You can't get the airplane off the ground unless you understand about the air that the airplane rides on. It won't work. It just won't work. The air, for all practical purposes in this analogy, is unseen. But if you don't understand the air, the airplane just run along the ground. Because it'd be a big expensive car. So that's what we have with our jobs and our focus in our jobs and our families and our relationships, whatever those happen to be. We've got this big expensive Boeing 747 that just kind of rolls along the highway instead of flying. We have to understand that which is behind it. So that's moving back, moving back, moving back, and observing, not giving all this value. Big mistake and a big hook that holds us to these things is I think that whatever. You see, I'm not so sure that that's true, because I don't think that we generate thought. That was a little joke there. I don't think that. Number 47. Okay. We don't generate it. We utilize it. It's everywhere. Every thought that is thought has been thought more times than you can count, by more people than you can count. So we don't generate the thought. So that statement, I think that, or the statement, that statement hooks you to it. The statement, a thought will come up and we will express it as what we are. This is just me. No, it's not you. It's not you at all. You are much. There are not proper words, but for lack of better words, you are much larger than that. As far as you can stand back, that's how large you are, and you can keep standing back and back and back and back and back and back and back until the words are no longer, or the mind structure is no longer applicable. It becomes so tiny. The formation of all of reality and all of life, physical reality and life, becomes such a tiny speck that it's no longer meaningful. The whole idea of a physical universe is no longer meaningful, so you can keep standing back and back and back and back and back. Well, hopefully that will create a tremendous question that will literally explode the whole thing. And this time you wake up and there's no chatter. There's just no chatter. There's no anything. Done. So, in this process, we like to think of things as proactive. This is our habitual process. I'm saying, as Bruce Lee said, to do without doing. Okay. That's the problem. We get involved. We get involved with it and we want to do. Well, doing in that sense has been our problem. You don't get involved with any of it. Right. At this point in time. At this point in time, you're involved in a process of learning to understand certain things. And the only way you can do that is by observation of those things. And all things must be treated the same. Someone tells you you're stupid, you're ugly, you're whatever. You don't get in it. But by the same token, you're so beautiful and you make me feel this way and blah, blah. Don't get in it. It's the same crap. I don't know that people are wonderful. They're just people. You know? They're just whatever it is that they are. We're all the same. It's like let's think of something that's kind of bizarre. The man standing on the corner talking to people you don't see. And we say, oh my God, there's something wrong with him. Blah, 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 blah. Well, who the hell are you talking to? You're just doing it in your head. It does the same thing. You see? So, all thoughts must be treated the same way. The idea is to understand not negative thought or positive thought, but to understand the nature of thought. All thought. Positive thought, negative thought. Thought. They aren't positive or negative unless we give them that label. And why is it you will give the same thought a negative label, whereas Siskel over there gives it the positive one? It's the same thought. If it intrinsically within itself, if it had a value, then we could call it, its value, thumb up or thumb down. Okay? But since it doesn't have that, those values are placed on it by the critic reviewing the thought or reviewing the movie. Okay? So the fault is not in the thought, but in the critic. And that's what we learn by the observation. Then once we find that out, we say, well, I want to change that. Let me push this thought out. Well, you can't do it. It won't go. It says, I'm stronger than you. I'm as thin as the thinnest tissue paper. I'm as thin as the air, but I have more strength. So what do? You say, okay, then you can sit there. I just have to move back and watch you. Then some things start to happen. You start to see other things.